And we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to our top cut phase of Psycho Turtle Collectibles November Gym Challenge here. My name is Jesus Cornell, joined here with Dennis Geisler, and we have our first top 8 match on the way here. Giovanni Costa and Richard Salazar going to be playing it out to see who will advance to our semi-final stage here. Richard, who's going to be on the screen here, going to have a team of Rillaboom, Heatran, Shenpao, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Farigiraf, and Dragonite. Well, Geo will have a Goldango, Iron Hands, Ogerpon Wellspring, Farigiraf, Fluttermane, and Urshifu Single Strike.
Yeah, and I'll ask you fresh off of your victory. Richard has a couple of similar Pokemon to you. Has the Farigiraf, has the Scarf or Shifu Rapid Strike, and has the Shenpao, as well as a big dragon type choice band user. What do you think about these teams going into it?
Oddly similar, don't they?
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities. I mean, many things are good and people like playing those things, but some similarities.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities out here. Of course, Dragonite, the Dragonite choice for Richard. I mean, looking at this Dragonite here for his, got the season before it's set the fourth slot's really just a wild card slot. It hits a lot of Geo's team for either great damage or things he needs to be very aware of, because both of these works are for Farigiraf, and that shuts down Dragonite Extreme Speed, so
sure does.
That could just leave it wide open for Urshifu Single Strike or for the Goldango to set up perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've seen what damage it can do if it can land a super effective hit, or I guess in the same sense, like if it can land an Outrage, although it gets either the Extreme Speed or the Outrage gets walled by Fluttermane in any case. And speaking of Fluttermane.
Yeah, and there's the Urshifu Single Strike with the headbands going up, just so you can have the distinction.
I've never noticed that before.
Booster Energy going to activate on Giovanni's Fluttermane, and let's see what booster it is. It's going to be the Speed Booster. It's going to make it the fastest thing on the field, but with Rillaboom, it could just go for something like the Grassy Glide and ignore completely. And I think I saw Richard quickly blocking his moves. It's going to be a Terrestrialization with his Heatran to bury.
Yeah, and that, of course, is quad effective up into that Urshifu Single Strike, Dark and Fighting. That will do tons of damage into it. Does have Focus Sash, but could double into it.
Could double into it. That Fluttermane gets the Protect read perfectly. No, it's Giovanni Scout right now with that double Protect.
Yeah, a nice scouting turn, a nice calm scouting turn. And it will be the Heat Wave anyways. So a good turn from Giovanni overall. It means that if you want, you can say, ooh, I don't like that, and leave. Especially because now you do have the option as Fluttermane to use Shadow Ball into the Heatran.
Also interesting to notice Heatran is Life Orb, no Protect at all, so it has 4 attacks, so you can't threaten that Terra Blast even though it is Focus Sash, which the Rillaboom tried to cover with the Heat Wave to hit both Pokemon and then pick out the Urshifu with the Rillaboom's Wood Hammer. Instead, Richard's Rillaboom not going to stick around any longer, wants to bring in the Farigiraf to stop a potential Sucker Punch or just to make sure you have something to survive with. And Geo's going to go ahead and Terra. With this speed, I mean, it's going to be boosting someone's damage output. It's going to be the Fluttermane's damage with the Fairy Terra.
Okay. That's a bold decision from Geo there to just completely stay in on that, given everything that was being threatened on the other end, but
it is going to be a Moonblast to that Rillaboom. No, it's going to go to the Heatran slot. A lot of damage going over 50%. We got a special attack drop. No special attack drop's going to be a double into the Heatran, but the Fairy Terra coming in handy with the resistance. That used to be a weakness to Heatran. Going to go ahead and lower Urshifu's defenses as it's going to avoid the Heat Wave entirely.
Yeah, that is a big dodge on the Heat Wave there, as now, even in this spot, Heatran is still slow, Farigiraf is still slow. Farigiraf gets hit pretty hard with a Wicked Blow right now, in any case, and Fluttermane is still fast enough to get rid of Heatran. Or Fluttermane can target the Farigiraf. Like, Giovanni can attack both of these Pokemon right now and be fine.
Yeah, you just click Dazzling Gleam.
There's not a bad move right now.
Yeah, it's going to go ahead and Moonblast into the Heatran to make sure it's fainted or whatever came in to go a lot of damage.
No Dazzling Gleam, only has Icy Wind, so might have wanted to make sure that was going to finish off.
I mean, Shadow Ball would have done the job anyway, but that's probably more riskier to go for. The Wicked Blow, one-hit knockouts, no for Regraph. Thanks to that guaranteed critical hit, but it will take some Rocky Helmet damage before it faints.
Yeah, and that's the nice part about that setup for Geo is that, yeah, they might have threatened you, yeah, they might have switched around and made it harder on you, but have you seen the damage that Fluttermane does?
It does a lot, I'll tell you that.
It does a lot of damage.
And there's a Dragonite to boot.
Yeah.
With no access to Terrestrialization, so it will be weak to that fairy type and no multi-skill to be seen, so only a fake out can save it.
Yeah, I mean, you may ask, Extreme Speed into Fluttermane? It's fairy type now. So no reason not to.
There's a threat to protect
does have to
as well.
Protect potentially.
I think you have to lock yourself into extreme speed nonetheless.
You have to lock yourself into extreme speed in general. You could, yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to. You kind of have to because even though you can check the Fluttermane's protect, you have to deal with the fact that Urshifu has lower defense thanks to a close combat from earlier. And yeah, we just see another double protect from Giovanni Costa, and that's just more information to see as Grassy Glide would have targeted that Fluttermane. Probably would have been enough to knock it out anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the decision here to lock it in Rage, yeah.
Uh-oh, that's pretty risky if you can't get rid of this Fluttermane in time.
Well, and that's the thing, is you have the Grassy Glide in order to do that. Fluttermane, it's healing. I think it'll still be taken down by the Grassy Glide. That Grassy Glide should be enough. If it isn't, then Richard loses, but Richard is probably going to lose anyways, so Richard's in a pretty bad spot.
Urshifu switches out as he probably will need to preserve it for a later point. For Regret comes in here.
Oh, and now you block the Grassy Glide.
Oh no, guaranteed win condition as this Fluttermane. Now you gotta hope this Dragonite survives this Moonblast at all. But the speed boost is to make sure it outshoots everything in play. Boom! And down it goes.
Yeah, Richard is struggling in this matchup, which Gio is playing just fantastic right now. But
and who can blame it? I think Giovanni's the #1 seed, currently undefeated as it is right now, and that forces a forfeit out of Richard, seeing he had no way out of his win.
Yeah, and I really like how Richard started this battle by saying, hey, I don't think you have anything to deal with Terra Fairy Heatran very well, and Giovanni on the other end was just like, what if I do a bunch of damage to it? What if I just do way too much damage to the Heatran with some of the highest damage Pokemon in the game?
And all he had to, and all that just for protecting.
Yeah, exactly. Gio got to know exactly what Richard wanted and said, okay, now that I know exactly what you want, I'm just gonna hit you with a lot of damage. And succeeded.
That's exactly what he does, and that's like, and that's another disadvantage of not having Protect on a Heatran with Life Orb, because you typically would see this on an Assault Vest variant, in which case I think it would be surviving a lot better against something like the Fluttermane. But because you don't have Protect on a Heatran that primarily trying to do damage, you're likely just going to be susceptible to do whatever Gio wants with the Scouting Report.
Yeah, exactly. And now, not only has Gio kind of already, I mean, obviously, scouted out a bit in that game #1, but also just with such a commanding game 1 victory, you have to wonder, what do you do? Because Richard, and that's one of the tough things about losing game 1 that convincingly, is you don't even get to know what your opponent had in the back. We don't know what Giovanni had as his 4th Pokemon because it went so quickly, and at this point, can Richard turn things around with that limited knowledge comparatively?
It's all for us
like
to
that
see.
Dragonite trainer card.
Giovanni's a Dragonite enthusiast. We all know
really
who he is.
like that trainer card.
Once again, it's Urshifu Fluttermane for Giovanni Costa, and Urshifu Heatran is going to be the counter lead for Richard, as we see both different Urshifus on the board.
Yeah.
But still dealing with the same issue, being the Fluttermane with the speed booster.
Yeah, but do remember, Richard's is Choice Scarf, so it is the faster Urshifu at the very least.
But will it be able to live a Moonblast at all?
That's a good question. It could Terrastalize, potentially. Try to force its way through.
Ooh, and that's a little risky here for the Urshifu not to go for his Terastallization. Was really think that this Fluttermane's not going to just go for the Moonblast onto this Urshifu, which, granted, is a pretty safe slot to go for, because none of your Pokemon, other than the Heatran is currently in the field, resists a Fairy move.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, it could be another Terra Fairy situation, just targeting into that slot. is not really a whole lot of downside, because Fluttermane should be faster than everything.
We're going to see a switch out from this Heatran into the Farigiraf for Richard. And we did see the Urshifu not lock in a Terrestrialization, so he's going to take a big gamble this turn.
Yeah, it does mean Farigiraf is out, so it can't be Sucker Punched or anything like that.
And Geoterras!
Yeah. If it's the Fairy... Yeah, I don't see why it shouldn't be the Fairy Fluttermane again, because you just go, hey, that was a really easy spot to focus down. I'll just use my move.
And that's all you can do at this point, as Urshifu did try to go for a Sucker Punch, but because of Farigiraf's Armor Tail, it cannot use Sucker Punch. Moonblast, however, should be easy pickings onto this Choice Scarf Urshifu, and that is all she wrote.
Yeah, bring the bell. And it doesn't really matter if the Urshifu went for the Sucker Punch there, because now it's in a spot where it's like, oh, hey, I can use Wicked Blow now on the Pokemon that I used Wicked Blow on before, and be fine with that. Or it can close combat this Heatran, which isn't a bad move either.
No, it isn't, but it
either way, the Terastal can get in your way. Like, the Fairy Terra is an option for both of these Pokemon, and it would be equally valuable in similar ways to both of these Pokemon. So it's just kind of a decision of which... on the meta level, on the macro level, it ends up being a 50-50 on just the decisions being made here.
Yeah, and here's a decision for Richard to Terrestrialize his Farigiraf, and it's going to be into the Fairy type, probably one of the most popular Fairy types in the game as of right now.
It's a good type, and for Farigiraf, it means that you get access to extra damage on Dazzling Gleam.
And the Moonblast, oh, he did try to read the Terra onto the Heatran instead of the Farigiraf. And there's the close combat just to cover for it.
Yeah, I like that decision from Geo. Another cover option where it's like, one of these two is going down, and I get to decide. The Heatran is going down. It just depends on how we end up doing it.
Here's a Dazzling Gleam, Terra boosted now. He just flutter to aim an Urshifu. Urshifu will go down to his focus assets. It's only because of a single strike form. And Fluttermane didn't take much damage, and here we are in a situation once again where Farigiraf for Giovanni could just guarantee the game right now for him. We're in the same position as we were in the first game.
Yeah, exactly. For all the changes that Richard made to start out this battle, didn't work. It just didn't really work.
And now we're in the same position as before, and Urshifu likely switching up for that Farigiraf.
Yeah, indeed. And Richard in the last game swapped into the...
And there it is, locked into extreme speed for the rest of the battle. Armor Tail gonna provide the protection that Giovanni needs with this Fluttermane. Goes ahead and blasts away at this Dragonite. We can ring the bell in our own heads, or if you have it at home, you have a one-hit knockout on this Dragonite. Here's the Dazzling Gleam once again, gonna do minimal damage, and Giovanni Costa shows why he was the #1 seed and why he's currently undefeated.
Yeah, it will... Not even going to play out the rest of that one. It just would have been a bunch of Moonblasts. Really well done by Geo there. It's one of those things where sometimes you see so much Fluttermane that you just go, oh, it's kind of... It ends up being in kind of a glue-ish position on the team where a lot of people just bring it because it's there. And sometimes you remember, like, yeah, Fluttermane is really, really good. Like, yeah, Fluttermane is, like, faster than a Choice Scarf Urshifu. And that means that Choice Scarf Urshifu, whose only benefit over other forms of Urshifu is being fast, isn't even faster than this Fluttermane. And also this Fluttermane on top of that just gets to knock it out instantly. Like, you remember that Fluttermane is such a fantastic Pokemon sometimes, and it showed in this battle.
Yeah, Fluttermane showing why it's still one of the best Pokemon to this day, even though Iron Hands may be dethroning it pretty soon. And, I mean, I don't know how Urshifu managed to dethrone Fluttermane at some of the higher end regionals, but I guess that comes down to how much Fluttermane has been, you know, a predictable asset on a lot of teams, and that just goes to show you that a fast Ghost type has just been pivotal to a lot of these teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be doing it for our top 8 portion. We're going to take a break here, and as the matches progress, we'll have our semifinal matchup, and who knows, maybe Giovanni Costa could be the one to dethrone the undisputed champion, Gavin Michaels. Who will he? So stay tuned to find out.